Hello, I'm Mark Roskine, a board member with the National Transportation Safety Board. The NTSB is an independent federal agency, and our mission, charged by Congress, is to investigate all civil aviation accidents that occur in the United States, also investigating significant accidents in rail, highway, marine, and pipeline. And once we've determined probable cause, is to issue safety recommendations so that those accidents don't happen in the future. We arrived last night at 8:30 p.m., so today really was our first full day of investigation. Here on site, we have a 14-member GO team. Wayne Workman is the investigator in charge. Wayne's name is spelled W-A-Y-N-E, Workman, W-O-R-K-M-A-N. He's the investigator in charge, or IIC, a senior investigator that has 40 years of experience in the area. Wayne is leading a group that is looking at 7 specific areas. They include operations, signals, mechanical, track, human performance, survival factors, and event recorders. Today there was an organizational meeting, and the following parties have been identified to participate in the initial fact-finding component of the investigation. Those parties include the Federal Rail Administration, or FRA, Union Pacific Railroad, UTU, the United Transportation Union, the BLET, which is a Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen, and also the Guyman Fire Department. So there are 5 parties that have been identified. Those groups basically participate in the initial gathering of factual information. What I'm going to do now, I mentioned 7 different groups. I'm actually going to go through 8 different components of investigation, primarily telling you what was done today on the first full day of investigation, and then also highlight what's planned next. And while there's 7 groups, I actually have 8 points to make for you. So first with the signals. One of the things that the signals group did was to download the event recorders from the Goodwell signal and grade crossings. At this point in the investigation, no anomalies have been found in the signal system. And I want to highlight 2 things. That's 1 full day of investigation, and that's it at this point. And just to be clear as well, we're not ruling anything out. But at this point, there are no anomalies that have been identified in the signal system. Next, basically, they'll be reviewing that data in detail and also obtaining a whole set of other documents from Union Pacific. In the track group, they have been looking at the track inspection documents. And at this point, after 1 full day, no anomalies have been found in the track data as well. Currently, they are now in planning for a site survey, which will document a lot of specific measurements regarding the accident. Third, the mechanical group. They've been focused on the event recorders and any video medium. The event recorders and video have been identified from the trailing locomotives. And we haven't gone into detail before, but there were actually 7 locomotives involved here, 3 at the front of one of the trains, 2 in front of the others, and locomotives trailing the end of both trains. So event and video information has been obtained from both trailing locomotives. All that data is being reviewed. Some of it, especially the video, will be sent back to Washington, D.C. for analysis at our headquarters, NTSB headquarters labs. At this point, there have been no anomalies found in braking function. Next is an ongoing search, basically, for the event recorders and any other video medium that they might be able to find. There has been a tremendous effort put into trying to find any event recorder or video information from the leading locomotives that were involved in the collision. At this point, the remnants of one seem to have been found, but it's severely damaged. So that will be gathered up and shipped to Washington, D.C. for our labs just to determine whether it is an event recorder or not. Sometimes they do amazing work and recover things, but we don't even really know what it is at this point. And that's why their next piece, basically, of effort will be focused on trying to determine whether or not they can find any other information related to the event recorders or any video medium. They are also in the process of obtaining any cell records. No cell phones were found. Most right now, probably due to the fire, we won't find any cell phones. So records are in the process of being obtained. Regarding crashworthiness, basically the impact left no survivable space in either locomotive. Regarding operations, that group is in the process of obtaining training documents That includes looking at work schedules, operating practices and procedures, manuals, and reviewing any kind of crew evaluations from training, etc. Next group, survival factors, is looking at emergency response at this point. So they are obtaining 9/11 and dispatch records, which will be reviewed, and will interview the investigator from the medical examiner's office as well. Human performance. The human performance investigators are looking at personnel records. That will include a 72-hour work rest history or going back even further if needed. They'll be doing interviews with managers and employees that had any kind of contact with the crew members. There was a witness that was identified, and today a human performance investigator had a very productive interview with that individual. It was quite helpful, and I want to point out that we are interested in hearing from any witnesses who have something that they could report. You should call local law enforcement and let them know that you want to reach the NTSB to provide a witness report of the accident. Right now, arrangements are also being made to interview the surviving crew member. One thing I just want to highlight is, at this point, no information has been officially released from the medical examiner's office. So there's nothing to report there. I just want to finish with a couple things. One is, our mission at the NTSB is not just to determine what happened, but why it happened. And understanding why it happened really allows us to issue safety recommendations so these kinds of accidents are prevented in the future. Right now, we are planning to have our next briefing tomorrow evening, probably again after organizational meeting, to obtain more information about anything that's coming out regarding the investigation, learn more about our updates. You should go to the NTSB website, which is ntsb.gov. You can follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/NTSB, or contact Terry Williams, who's the Public Affairs Officer. He's available through email, Terry, Terry.Williams, WILLIAMS, at ntsb.gov, or his cell phone, which is 202-557-1350. So we have some time for questions, if there are any. Yes, sir.
Any idea how long the tracks will be closed when they'll be reopened?
So the question is, any idea how long the tracks will be closed? We're working with the railroad to get that done as quickly as possible. We actually had a chance to go back to the scene. There's been tremendous progress, so I think by this afternoon they're already in pretty good shape. So the final decision for that will be with the railroad, but our impressions from them is that it's getting very close.
Another one, do you have any known environmental damage resulting from the fire and any cargo that there may have been?
So the question is whether there was any environmental damage from the cargo that was on the train. That's one of the things we're looked at. At this point, we don't have any reports or information about that, but that's definitely one of the parts that we'll be looking at. One of the things I would like to highlight is when we look at the NTSB, while I've mentioned 7 different groups, et cetera, there's really sort of 3 main categories we're always going after. That's the human, the machine, and the environment. So that's one part the environment clearly will be looking at to see what role it might have played. Any other questions? Thank you very much.